Welcome back to the Shacknews E3 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX. We are joining you once again at the E3 Esports Zone 2019 brought to you by SubNation. And today I am joined by Jonathan Stebble from Sega. We are going to be looking at a trailer for Catherine Full Body.
Pardon, but I have some important news. We have a special guest who will be joining us tonight. Are you ready for this? He's actually a phantom thief. I wonder what we can expect of this phantom thief fellow.
Look over there, at the bottom. It's Joker.
We had a little technical difficulty
Yeah,
there.
we're having a little technical difficulties.
I think technical difficulty. That was an old trailer. It was an old trailer rolled, wasn't supposed to roll, a little mix up there.
Yeah.
We're just going to jump right into the interview.
So sorry about that. Anyway, Catherine Full Body. Very excited to play. Tell us about everything that's new with the game, what fans of the old game can expect, and newcomers as well.
So Catherine Full Body, if you've played the original Catherine, which came out about 8 years ago, is more than just a remaster of the game. It actually adds a lot of new content. So there's a brand new love interest for Vincent, Rin, a mysterious new girl that he meets who has amnesia. He gets her a job at the Stray Sheep as a pianist, and the story just kind of goes from there. The two develop a relationship, and it really adds a lot of extra body to the story. Catherine Full Body. There's a lot of quality of life improvements for the game as well. Some of the stages have been made a little bit more sensible for players who aren't necessarily the best at the puzzle elements. And if you want to just enjoy the story, then you can just set the game to easy or safety difficulty, and there's an autoplay feature that'll just take you through the game. You don't have to move a finger. So yeah, that's a great thing for players who just love the story. There's 13 endings in this game, so it's really great for players who just love getting deep into the narrative.
Yeah, I know that when I played the original game, I often found myself very frustrated when I couldn't pass some of the boss stages, and that would keep me from seeing the story unfold, so I'd have to come back to it at a later date. Then magically I would be able to pass it. But I understand that kept a lot of players from wanting to continue, so that's great that that mode has been added. So as far as the new story scenario, what kind of person is Rin? Can you share that with us? Just in general?
Just what kind of person Rin is?
Yeah.
Oh, Rin's adorable. I love Rin as a character. In the original game, K. Catherine is really stable, and she's very supportive of Vincent in most cases. C. Catherine's really fun and free, but Rin is just kind of comforting. Rin's just an adorable character. She doesn't really understand most of modern society. Mm-hmm. She's not great at playing the piano, so it's kind of funny when she starts out a pianist in the bar. But yeah, she's a much more innocent character who's just there to be friends with everyone.
So she's kind of like a middle of the road when compared to Catherine with a C or Catherine with a K.
Yeah.
Cool. So as far as the original voice cast, it seems that they're returning again to reprise their roles. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was a huge undertaking from our production team. We always want to make sure that we can respect our original voice actors who play roles in previous versions of games as much as we possibly can. And so for Catherine Full Body, we've brought back the entire English voice cast. That includes Troy Baker as Vincent, Laura Bailey as C. Catherine, Michelle Ruff as K. Catherine, Brandon Knickerbocker is coming in as Rin, new voice actor for the game, but there's not a single individual, to my knowledge, who's been left out of the original cast coming back to Catherine Full Body. And they did their best to match their new lines to their original lines, and to me it seems like it's actually pretty seamless.
So were the original lines re-recorded for this new release?
No, they were kept the same. The original voice lines are still in the game, and then the new ones are recorded to take the place in the new cutscenes.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. So as far as the new game mode, I understand there's a new remix mode, is that correct?
Yeah, the remix mode is really cool. So at the start of the game, you'll get an option between playing on original or remix. Original, you'll be pulling out individual blocks like you do in the original game, but in remix mode, they get replaced with these giant chunks of blocks. So rather than pulling out individual blocks, you're pulling out these big chunks, and there's more of just individual solutions to puzzles rather than using these techniques to work your way up slowly. You can change between remix mode and original mode at any time during the game, and then you can also change difficulties. So if you start out on easy and learn that you're getting better at the game, you can just go ahead and move it up to medium or hard, or move it down if you're having trouble with the game.
That's actually very useful.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got a little ahead of myself, thinking, well, this is a little too easy for me, so I'm going to go ahead and bump it up a little bit. Well, that was a mistake.
Oh yeah, Catherine is a pretty unforgiving game.
It is extremely unforgiving, especially when a giant boss is coming up at you from the bottom of the screen, and you're basically screwed as you dash left and right.
Yeah.
So what were some of fans' favorite features from the original game that you wanted to make sure that you kind of expanded on in this one?
So we definitely didn't take away anything from the original game coming into Full Body. Everything was just done with the idea that we are making things better. So there's a lot of quality of life improvements. You'll see in the gameplay going on right now, if you're hanging on a ledge, you'll see this outline that shows where you can crawl to. Crawling around on the sides of the puzzle is something that a lot of players didn't really master in the first one, but it's actually very important for working your way up the tower. There's also things like there's additional music in the jukebox in the bar. There's additional conversations in the bar. And multiplayer has been buffed up quite a bit to give players a lot more stages and options for playing with their friends.
Now, we used to get quite a few cell phone conversations and photos from both Catherines. Well, mostly Catherine with the C in my playthrough. Will Rin be sharing in those festivities as well?
Yeah, Rin sends over. Rin gets Vincent's phone number pretty early on in the game. And so she'll text him and send some photos over, and it's really just charming.
So how much new content overall would you say has been added to the game?
Man, that's hard to quantify. But I would say probably 50%. The arrange or the remix mode adds a lot of new flavor for players who have played through the original one and just totally mastered it. The Rapunzel minigame in the bar has been buffed up. There's about 128 stages for that.
Wow.
And there's also remix mode and original mode for Super Rapunzel as well. And then the whole new storyline with Rin is actually pretty extensive. It's going to take some work for players to find out how to get to Rin's story, but it really pays off in the end.
Now, where in the story exactly do we branch off with Rin, or is that just an optional thing? Like, is it naturally a story progression, or is that something that players are going to have to seek out?
For finding Rin's story?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's something that Rin is introduced to the story pretty naturally.
Okay.
It's not just interactions with Vincent that she has. She interacts with the other patrons in the bar. And it does take a little bit of work to actually understand how to get deeper into her story. But it's not so convoluted that players won't be able to figure it out with a little bit of effort.
Gotcha. And one of my favorite features from the original game was the kind of crowdfunding questions not crowdsourcing questions,
Yeah.
where they would ask you, have you ever cheated on someone, et cetera, things like that. I really liked seeing what people had to say about that, and sometimes it made me feel like a terrible person when I answered the wrong way. The game kind of made me feel like I was doing the right or the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Are we still going to see those in the game and maybe expanded since we have better online functionality than we did back when the game came out?
Yeah, those questions are back, and there's some new questions as well. So you'll find some of the old ones, like the first one, which I think most people remember if they've played the original, was, does life begin or end with marriage?
I remember that.
Yeah. And you working in these backroom demos, seeing what people are choosing really kind of gives you insight into their lives. And it's fun to answer them honestly. Mm-hmm. And you really try to get self-introspective with it. The online functionality is still there. You're still going to see survey responses from people, how they answer. Usually you're going to see a lot more people saying life begins with marriage, because I think some people may be a little afraid of what they actually think.
They think it's going to be shit.
Yeah. I'm married. I believe that life begins with marriage. But there's really interesting ones that really make you think hard about how you actually value your life.
Yeah, that was part of my favorite segment, just wondering what other people had shared when I saw the percentages come up, and I was just like, well, didn't know I was in the minority there.
Yeah, they're usually pretty heavily weighted one way or the other.
As far as the multiplayer goes, is that going to be just online match, or is there any local multiplayer?
Yeah, there's both online and local multiplayer. Online is new for this game, and there's also character selection. So if you have a favorite character from the story, chances are you're going to be able to play as them in multiplayer with your friends. There's some new items there too. There's a remix stage for multiplayer. So a lot of new options for people just to really get into it with their friends.
Any customization options for the characters in multiplayer? Like if I wanted to play as Vincent in his boxers, or can I play with him in his regular outfit?
Yeah, there's a lot of, well, I guess there's two outfits for Vincent that I've seen so far. There's one of him in his nightmare outfit and his boxers, and there's one of him just in his day clothes, like what you see with him wearing in the bar right now.
Cool. Yeah, there are a lot of RPG elements to the game that people don't really think about. Like, you have to make important decisions throughout your day where you're going to spend time and things like that. What do you think the hook is for Catherine, for people that may not be puzzle gamers so much, but they're interested in the art style and the story and the characters? What do you think the hook is there? Because a lot of people that I've turned on to the game don't realize it's a puzzler.
Right.
So how would you, what do you think makes people interested in this game?
That's an interesting question because I don't really feel like there are many games out there that emulate what Catherine does.
Yeah.
It is definitely a puzzle game and definitely like a puzzle action game, but at its core, it plays more like a visual novel. And it really makes you fall in love with these characters and get invested with their backgrounds, their stories. One great thing that Full Body does is it actually goes back and there's a lot of flashback cutscenes which show how Vincent and Catherine's relationship developed during high school and shortly after high school. Which is something you didn't get in the original game. I would say the hook is really just if you like character dramas and you like just innovative puzzle games, then you're going to love Catherine Full Body. And if you're not great with puzzles, there's autoplay and you can just skip all of that.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people, like I said earlier, was a barrier because it just seems so daunting to climb up the blocks. And a lot of people see that and they think Tetris. This isn't Tetris.
Yeah, no. It is such a story-driven game. We didn't see a reason to really gate people off of the content that they may be interested in over such a difficult puzzle section. It shouldn't be taken lightly. It is really hard.
It can be extremely hard. I know I almost broke a controller once because I was right at the end and I just could not crack it. I just kept falling to my death and it was very frustrating.
Yeah, it is rough.
I do have some information about Catherine and Vincent meeting in high school. So I think that's an interesting addition. I'd always felt that I didn't really know a lot about her. I didn't really understand her more harsh tone that she had.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how much content is there about giving us more of Catherine's backstory to kind of color her personality?
So this is C. Catherine or K. Catherine?
K. Catherine.
K. Catherine. So yeah, K. Catherine is a much more three-dimensional character than I had assumed after seeing these flashback cutscenes. I don't want to spoil too much, but one of the first ones that you see is just her and Vincent getting together for the first time and just actually confessing their feelings for each other. And she is really uptight, but she also has some insecurities that she works with, even as such a strong, intelligent woman. And learning that and just kind of seeing how she and Vincent fell in love with each other in the first place really is kind of heartwarming. And you get to learn about a lot of other characters this way too, as their lives in high school kind of color how they actually act in modern day.
Right, and that's something I think will add some more dimension to Catherine because admittedly I thought about her as just kind of an annoyance in the way, even wasn't the best. I didn't agree with what he was doing, but I also didn't like her. Now that I can understand where she's coming from, I think that might change more people's minds about her in general and kind of sway their opinion. Well, with that said, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Which Catherine is for you?
Oh, man. So 8 years ago, when I played the original Catherine, it was definitely K. Catherine. C. Catherine, I was just like, she is too high energy. I cannot deal with that. I still feel the same way. But honestly, Rin just being as casual and as innocent as she is, I would say probably Rin.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a bold choice. I can't wait to meet Rin and see what she has in store for us.
She's fantastic.
Now, when is Catherine Full Body coming out? And on what platforms?
Oh, yeah. Catherine Full Body is coming out September 3rd.
September 3rd. Not too much longer.
Not much longer.
That's a packed fall. September and November already.
Oh, yeah.
So that's on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One?
It's for PlayStation 4.
Okay. Any Switch plans?
PlayStation 4.
Okay, PlayStation 4. All right, well, I think that's just about enough time for today. Thank you so much for coming by and talking to us about Catherine. And everyone else, please make sure to stay tuned to the Shacknews E3 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX, and we'll see you soon.